I don't know if you could see this in my hashtag LGBTQIA read TBR, but this is the shirt I was wearing in that video. It is an Orlando United t-shirt that I bought while I was on holiday in Orlando, Florida. And I bought it because it was cutesy and some money went to charity. So that. Yay! Hello! I hope you guys are all okay and all good. Welcome to another video. And let's talk about some queer non-fiction, shall we? I have been on a real big non-fiction kick at the moment. Specifically a queer non-fiction kick. I have been downloading audiobooks and I've been reading physical books that are non-fiction and queer as all heck. It's just been something I've been really interested in recently. I think it's because I was listening to the Attitude Heroes podcast. I'll leave a link to my review of that in the description box below. And in listening to the Attitude Heroes podcast, I wanted to learn more about gay history and queer people and what life has been like for different queer people growing up. And because I walk to the train station and I walk to work from the train station and all sorts of business like that, I decided audiobooks were a good idea because I used to listen to audiobooks an awful lot, and I used to use my walking time to listen to audiobooks, and so it felt kind of nice to be getting back into that for a little bit. So here are 5 of my favourite queer non-fiction titles / the queer non-fiction titles that I have read that I have really enjoyed. Because there's not been that many so far. I need your recommendations in the comments box below. Please recommend me your queer non-fiction. I would love to hear from you. I always need to see more stuff. I'm probably going to end up going to Gaze the Word at some point and being like, give me your queer memoirs! All of them! So here are some of my faves and 2 that I want to read soon. Let's go. First book on this list is one that I have mentioned far too many times, and that is This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. This is essentially a guidebook for queer people. That is literally all I need to tell you about it. It is funny, it is light, it tells you about sex, it tells you what all the letters mean, it tells you all sorts of stuff that you're not learning in school that you should be learning in school. Basically. All tea, all shade, sex education that includes gays, please. It's really well written. Juno's voice really comes through quite strongly in it, which is exactly what you need in this kind of book, because Juno is a brilliant storyteller and has a really great way of putting things across. And that's why this book is so great, and every library in the country, school library, library, it should have this book in it because it is needed. So this, I love it an awful lot, and I've mentioned it I think in every single queer listicle that I've ever done. I have mentioned this book because it is absolutely necessary reading, I think, for a queer person. I thought it was really great. So this, and it's getting an updated edition this year, I believe. I think it's still being called This Book is Gay, but Juno made a joke on her Instagram saying that it was going to be This Book is Gayer, and I sort of want it to be called that. The next book on this list is one that I cannot find on my shelves, and I can only imagine this because I've lent it to someone, and that is Girl Heart Girl by Lucy Sutcliffe. This is a memoir by YouTuber Lucy Sutcliffe. I was part of the blog / vlog tour for this last year, the year before, who knows. Link down below to me talking about why coming out books still matter. That was what I took from it, is that we still need coming out books. You'll understand if you go watch that video. Go watch it. It's not that bad. I get a bit ranty. Like, I don't really do ranty, but I got a bit ranty. Girl Heart Girl is basically Lucy Sutcliffe telling her story, the story of her coming out, of meeting her girlfriend, of discovering YouTube, all of that business. It's really great. It's really quite young focused, which is what I think I like about it. There's a lot of queer memoirs out there, or memoirs written by queer people, but they are all adult focused because the people writing them are adults. And Lucy Sutcliffe is also an adult, but her YouTube audience is younger, so this is geared younger in a way that will hopefully reach those younger readers who are currently maybe questioning their sexuality and also love Lucy Sutcliffe and want to learn a bit more about her. It's a really great book. I thoroughly recommend it. Whether you're a fan of Lucy Sutcliffe or not, I didn't know her before I read this book. I wasn't aware of her. I was aware of her, but I didn't really watch her or anything like that. So reading this book was wonderful. It was really eye-opening to who she was as a person and her relationship and all sorts. It was really, really interesting, and I thoroughly recommend it. Link to my video in the description box below. The next book on this list is one that I've mentioned in the last couple of videos because I listened to it for the hashtag LGBTQIA read. I want to do another one. Should we do another one? Comment below if you want another LGBTQIA read. Just let me know. I'd love to do another one. Maybe we could do it in September because like the weather's going to be worse and we're going to have to be inside more. And that book is The Velvet Rage by Alan Down. Velvet Rage, Overcoming the Pain of Growing Up Gay in a Straight Man's World, is a book that offers sort of practical solutions to overcoming gay shame and living your best life. It is fascinating from a gay man's perspective. I found it utterly fascinating to read about all of these different lives, and hear all about these different stories of how these people have kind of sabotaged their lives because of the way they've been made to feel about their sexuality. It was so interesting and also a bit terrifying and hit a little bit too close to home at times. There were definitely moments where I was reading it and thinking, oh my god, this is me, let it end. And there were other times when I was reading it and I just didn't relate whatsoever. I said this in my last video, that one of the things that annoyed me about reading reviews about this book was that people were saying how they didn't relate to every single story that was being told. And all I could really think of when I read those reviews was, well, you are not every gay man. So that's why you've not related to every single one, because they are talking about a bunch of different gay men who have gone through a multitude of different things. You can't have gone through all of those things. You can't relate to every single one of these men, but you can listen and you can be interested in it. So I kind of took it as both a psychology, self-help, practical guide book sort of thing, and also as a memoir sort of thing as well. So you're kind of hearing all of these different stories and the solutions to these stories as well, because who knows what's going to happen to me in the future. Maybe I will end up like some of these men. I hope I don't, because some of them had some properly tragic things happen to them, but that. The next book on this list is The Gender Games, The Problems with Men and Women from Someone Who Has Been Both. Also by Juno Dawson. I'm a huge fan of Juno Dawson and her work, and I was so excited when she announced that she was writing a memoir. I was really intrigued to know more about her life and more about what it's like for her transitioning, because that's sort of what this book covers. It covers things about her growing up, but it also covers things about her transition as well, and how she's dealing with that and how that's going now. You get to hear a lot about her life, both as someone who is sort of in the public eye a little bit with the glamour column and the various things that have happened to her online, and also someone who is just transitioning, who's just a normal trans woman who is going through her transition. I listen to the audiobook because I walk around a lot and I like listening to audiobooks. It's a great way to kind of get my content. And Juno reads this, and the thing, what's so great about this audiobook, and which is why I will recommend that you listen to the audiobook, is because Juno is such a fantastic storyteller. If you ever meet her, or if you ever see her on a panel, or you see her in a talk, or anything like that, that is one thing you will notice about her, is that girl can spin a yarn. And I love the way that she tells stories, and the book is full of her charm and the wonderful way that she can tie a story together while keeping it funny and keeping it light, but also hitting some quite serious issues regarding gender being a construct and how fucked up that is. And it's absolutely brilliant for absolutely tearing all of that apart. It's great. I thoroughly recommend it. So many moments in it that you're listening and you're thinking, oh god, yes, thank you. And you're just kind of listening to what she's saying and completely agreeing with her. And I mean, gender is such a fuck up. Gender is a construct, tear it apart. Sasha Velour, Queen. Wear a crown, fuck with gender, bend the rules, don't surrender. Also Sasha Velour. Can you tell I've been watching too much Drag Race? Can you tell that I'm obsessed with Sasha Velour? Fucking love her. And last but by no means least, the fifth book on this list is Holding the Man by Timothy Connergraves. This is a memoir about growing up gay in the 1970s in Australia. I picked up this audiobook because I had been going through Netflix and adding things to my list, and Holding the Man was one of the things that I added to my list. And I think it was seeing that and then kind of seeing the audiobook on Audible, because obviously Amazon is watching you all the time and is saying, hey, you've looked at a thing that's similar to this on a website that's not ours. Do you want to read this book? So, because Amazon is always watching, I downloaded the audiobook to Holding the Man by Timothy Connergraves just to prove the system works. And I listened to it, and it's absolutely heartbreaking and brilliant and funny and a little bit raunchy. It tells the story of Tim Connergrave and him growing up in Australia from quite a young age, going all the way through his teen years, discovering his sexuality, discovering sex, falling in love with someone who ends up being his long-term boyfriend, and going through the AIDS crisis. And it's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, it's an utterly poignant and stunning memoir that is no longer in print in the UK. What the actual fuck? The audiobook is still available. I do recommend you get the audiobook, or you pop over to the book depository and you buy the book there, because it's incredible and I cannot recommend it hard enough. It had me weeping. There are so few audiobooks that have actually made me cry. One of them was A Place Called Winter by Patrick Gale. One of them is One Day by David Nichols, and that's because everyone cries at one day, whether you're reading it on paper or listening to it in audiobook. And Holding the Man by Timothy Connergrave. It's gorgeous. It's so heartfelt and so utterly just gut-wrenchingly good, and it manages to be funny, it manages to be sexy at times, it manages to have those really emotional and deep moments and moments of immense thought, and can't believe that one person has had to go through all of this. But yes, read this book, listen to this audiobook. I think it's really fantastic. The guy who's reading it is Australian, and it's quite nice having an Australian accent in your ear. I don't know, that's going to sound really weird, but it's quite a soothing accent to listen to. Random little factoid there. I quite like an Australian accent. Apparently I sound like I've got one sometimes. Who knew? Me, because I said it out loud. And last but by no means least, 2 books that I want to read real soon. So the first is Good As You, From Prejudice to Pride, 30 Years of Gay Britain by Paul Flynn, which I have started reading. I'm only a couple of pages in, and it's got that nice, easy, breezy, creative non-fiction sort of voice that I really, really like, and seems to be what I respond to when it comes to reading non-fiction of any kind. And also Straitjacket by Matthew Todd, which I bought when I was in Waterstones Piccadilly. And it's a book that I've been meaning to read for some time. It was one that was also recommended in The Gender Games by Juno Dawson. The Velvet Rage was recommended in The Gender Games. This was recommended in The Gender Games as well. And this, I hope at least, is going to take what The Velvet Rage did and bring it to the modern world. Those are my hopes for this book. I might be completely misreading what the message is going to be, but this is something I'm very, very excited to read. And because these are physical books and neither of them have audiobooks, I'm going to actually have to read them. So they're going to be sitting by my bed and they're going to be my nightly reading. So long as I don't get too thoughtful. If they get too thoughtful, I just won't sleep. So that too. Let me know in the comments box below your favourite queer memoirs or queer non-fiction and anything that you think that I should read. If you've read any of these, I would love to have a chat with you about it in the comments box below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to put a thumb on this video if you liked it, and to subscribe if you want to see more. There's so much of me when I remember to make videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love all of your faces, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!